I had gone to visit my Uncle Dave at his farm this summer. There wasn't much to do except sit on the front porch and hope for a cell phone signal. The days went by slowly. Uncle Dave didn't have any animals to care for, so I pretty much just sat around all day. For much of the time, I stared at the cornfield bored beyond comprehension. Then, this white rabbit appeared on one hot day. It leapt into the grass, vanishing into the field. I decided to follow it to see if I could catch it. Inside, the plants were tall. Insects were at every corner I turned. The field provided much shade from the sweltering summer sun. I had kept a mental note of where I was to prevent myself from getting lost. As I walked down the path while surrounded by a huge wall of corn, one of the stalks started to shake severely. My heart nearly stopped. But to my amazement, the little white rabbit jumped out. I inched closer to it, trying to avoid making any noise. When I reached out to pet the rabbit, it began hopping away. I chased the bunny down the path. It darted away like it was the devil himself. I stopped in my tracks up ahead because there was a barefooted woman wearing a white thin bikini. This was the last thing that I expected to see. This strange woman stood center path, facing me while wielding a spiked club. Ironically, what's less strange is that she was wearing a white rabbit mask. While swinging the club, she began to slowly strut in my direction. I screamed for dear life as I ran back the way I came. I'm not very fast, so it felt like she was way quicker than I ran. Whenever I peered over my shoulder, she was closer. The cornfield became a maze that was difficult to solve. All hope was just lost as I was. Suddenly, I tripped and fell into a pile of wilted leaves. There was actually a fairly large gap between us since the lunatic was hopping on 2 legs. She leapt in my direction like a psychotic cartoon character. That sight was very petrifying. "Help!" I screamed, praying this was an awfully elaborate dream. Finally, I heard Uncle Dave call my name, so I pulled myself up to follow his heroic voice. Once I exited the cornfield, I told him everything about the white rabbit and that swimsuit-wearing woman. He told me to go into the house, and he went into the field with a machete. I surveyed the cornfield from the window for about 10 minutes anxiously, wondering if he would return. I was extremely worried. Until eventually he came out. A huge boulder of grief lifted off my shoulders. Uncle Dave hadn't seen the psychopath or her bunny accomplice. My parents came to pick me up that evening. I couldn't stay at the farm another day, or night for that matter. But when we left and were driving along the cornfield, I saw that half-naked woman standing between 2 stalks. Her head followed our car as she petted that white rabbit with the spiked club. I was able to see her mask clearly. Blood streaked down the eyes and covered the nose and mouth. She was completely deranged. Although I was leaving, I felt worried for my uncle. It's very difficult to reach him since he doesn't use a cell phone and rarely answers the home phone. I'm beginning to think the worst because he hasn't returned any of our phone calls to this day.